Beam urgent message to officials. Drake now believes Professor Newton prisoner. Rocky Jones may attempt rescue flight.
We'll get it through, Griff. Any further orders?
Stand by. If rescue flight is attempted by Rocky Jones, we'll inform you of blast off time and refuel station.
Hey gang, Todd and Sunny here, and we are in our superhero guys for another superhero film review, although I'm wearing my steampunk hat because it's a sci-fi superhero style film. Beyond the Moon. It is based on several episodes of the Rocky Jones Space Ranger series. Now, back in the early 50s, late 40s, when TV was first starting, not every show could get a network affiliation. You know, like an NBC show, like Dragnet did. But they could always syndicate it, a model they took over from radio, where radio they would just record the episodes of the shows and send them out to the stations that were syndicated to show it. Now, in TV, they of course had to film the shows and then sell them to markets. Now, to hedge this bet in case they didn't sell or didn't sell enough, they would film the first 3 episodes as interconnected so they could edit them into a movie and then send it out in the theaters or sell it to individual stations to show, because even back then a lot of movies got shown on TV. TV back then needed product and there wasn't always a lot to be had in the early days. And of course, where Rocky Jones differs from like the Lone Ranger or Buster Crabbe's Captain Gallant of the Foreign Legion is that a lot of their episodes were interconnected, so they made a lot of movies after the initial run of the show to, make more money. And so there became essentially a Rocky Jones Space Ranger series of films, cobbled from the episodes. Now it stars, our leading man is Richard Crane, who got his start in the 40s, where he appeared in small roles in like The Saint in Palm Beach, in the Navy with Abbott and Costello, the Phantom Plainsman, and the George Zucco horror film The Flying Serpent, which was a remake of The Devil Bat. As was Zucco's Mad Monster too. Anyways, around about the early 50s, he got his 2 starring roles in Columbia serials. Mysterious Island, which was based on the Jules Verne novel, although they added some extra things that the Union officers had to deal with on the deserted island, along with the natives, pirates, and a wild man. They also included a Venusian invasion army of 3 people out to conquer the earth or blow it up. And then he starred in The Great Adventures of Captain Kidd, not as Captain Kidd, but as a nobleman sent to learn if Captain Kidd had turned pirate. Originally, according to history, Captain Kidd fought pirates, but then became a pirate himself. But there's speculation he might not have, and due to political reasons got branded a pirate. Then, of course, there was his TV appearances, in which he appeared in several episodes of The Lone Ranger, episodes of Perry Mason, Honey West, and one of his final acting jobs was in Adam 12. Also along this time, he made the horror films that most people who aren't serial fans probably know him from if they are horror fans, as he was in The Neanderthal Man, played the hero in that one. He was the titular creature in The Alligator People, and he was also in The Devil's Partner as one of the main characters who becomes a victim, and the rather interesting House of the Damned, which was sort of a ghost story that actually turned out not to be. We also have as his sidekick, the only other actor of any real note, is Scotty Beckett. Now, he's mostly known today as Scotty in 14 shorts of the Our Gang series, where basically he and Spanky were like really younger than the rest of the main cast, and were sort of mostly on the sidelines adding commentary to what was going on, and usually were the smartest people in the shorts. A role that was later fulfilled by Buckwheat and Porky. After that, he became a fairly popular child actor, appearing in Charge of the Light Brigade, Days of Jesse James, Heaven Can Wait, the Boris Karloff Climax films, and had the starring role in Gasoline Alley and Corky of Gasoline Alley. Then, of course, came Rocky Jones, which was his last major acting job, where he had, after that, small roles in High and Mighty and The Oklahoman, as well as appearances on the TV show The Millionaire and the George Sanders Mystery Theater. Unfortunately, he passed away rather young due to alcohol. Well, we start off with Rocky and Winky returning from a mission in which they're looking forward to their 2-month furlough that's coming up. When after they land, they have almost get involved in an accident.
Look out, Winky!
Hey, you know something? It's safer up there.
You said it, Winky. Well, why is she in such a hurry? Well, she has to see Commander Drake. Very important.
And your reason for being here?
Professor Newton.
I have no interest in anything that concerns the professor.
I know. You believe he's a traitor to the United Worlds of the solar system.
A traitor? Well, why would she think he wasn't?
During our exchange of scientists with the Officious group, I was an interpreter. When the rest of us left, I shook hands with the professor. His eyes tried to tell me something. He gave me this.
To Professor Newton from Secretary Drake, with profound gratitude and eternal friendship.
That is strange, but Drake does have a video message that proves he's a traitor.
I first say this. The decision to remain on Officious is mine and mine alone. I have been influenced by neither word nor act. These people are my friends.
That sounds pretty convincing to me, but not to Rocky. He suspects something. He's known the professor and his ward Bobby, who's with him, a long time. This does not sound like the professor at all. So, much to Winky's disappointment, they're going to give up their furloughs and make a trip to Officious to check on him under the guise of mechanical problems and having to land, because Officious cut ties with the entire galaxy, or basically Earth. Anyways. But Officious has a spy in the headquarters. And Griff, Drake's number one man, or number two man, or his secretary. And he contacts an officious ship out of radar range and lets them know Rocky's coming. And then, on the day of the launch...
Griff to WOX. Griff to WOX. Come in.
WX to Griff. Come in, Griff.
Rocky Jones blasting off at 0230. Refueled space station is RV-5. Area declared out of bounds, making it ideal for attack without interference.
Fiend! Well, Rocky, Winky, and the young lady, whose name is Vina Ray, is going along as both navigator and translator. She speaks Officious. Or I should say Offician. Much to Rocky's chagrin, but Winky doesn't mind having a pretty girl aboard. Sex. Anyways, let's get a look-see at the special effects for this show. Not bad. Yes, it is an electrical power plant they've used as a backdrop there. Well, after we get some witty repartee about, women on a spaceship. We finally get to the Ophidian attack.
Ready, Winky?
Ready, sir.
Approaching target. Steady.
Steady, sir.
On it, Winky. Fire one. Well, takes care of them, whoever it was.
All right. We call it a draw.
That was pretty good for, early TV. Space battle. Well, of course, they've sustained damage, so Rocky now has to check on it. Okay, that was clever. I like that. Makes sense to check a link. Yeah. So Rocky goes back to seal off that area, but Vina, being a woman...
Rocky!
But of course, she gets saved pretty quickly, although they have to cut the bulkhead open because it got jammed. So now they all have to wear space helmets till they get to the space station. And we get this little bit of comedy.
What I think about you in 37 different languages. I'll start with the Martian. You're nothing but a big ballsack. On Neptune they'd call you a...
All these problems are getting me down.
Women and their gabbing. Am I right? I'm just making satire about the... She's sensitive. Anyways, let's get to another great bit of special effects here as we see a shot that probably gave some kids a funny feeling back in the 50s. Yeah, little. Let's move on. Well, they get their ship prepared and they head out, and then we cut to Ophicia, where we learn that the professor and Bobby aren't quite the honored guests they made it appear.
Professor Newton, you've been granted extraordinary privilege. Bobby has been near you and allowed a weekly visit. Proudly I say my own son does not know my face, as Bobby will not long remember yours.
Yeah, the professor's serving him under threat of something happening to Bobby, so he's gonna speed up his work now. Otherwise, Bobby's gonna be taken away from him. Now, Rocky talks of his plan of, faking a engine trouble. And it works. They allow him to come down and repair it. And then, of course, he then immediately sends Winky into the back to actually do damage to the engine, so they need repaired. But the Queen of Ophicia, Cleolanta, thanks to her spy, knows why Rocky is there, and so she has a plan of her own on what to do to allay their suspicions. She's gonna hypno-ray him so that when Rocky, Winky, and Vera go to see the professor.
Rocky, isn't this a wonderful country? So exciting, so stimulating. And look, these instruments, things to work with beyond my wildest dreams.
Just Rocky.
Oh, come on, Bobby. Let's see how much you've grown. You used to come up to here, you know.
Height alone isn't the measurement of a man.
Not too suspicious. Well, later Rocky makes another attempt to try to get to Bobby, but he's talking about maybe someday facing Rocky in his own ship, and he'd be the victor. But later, when he's heading back to the professor, he starts to feel a little sick.
Bobby, what's the matter?
I don't know. I feel sort of dizzy, as if I wasn't myself.
Here, I'll help you up the stairs.
No! It's cold. It's a prison, just like the rest of Ophiuchus.
It's starting to wear off. Well, Vina has to race to the palace, basically, to get Rocky, who's meeting with Cleolanta. And guess what she's trying to do?
Mr. Newton and the boy. But they don't want to go back, do they, Rocky? And maybe you won't want to go back either. Any more than they do.
You're doomed. You're all doomed.
Oh, no. Can Rocky be saved?
Rocky! 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 Rocky!
That was a close one. Well, Rocky sends Vina back to the ship to tell Winky, get ready for blast off. He then goes to get the professor and Bobby, Ray's worn off on them, and has them head for a car while he runs interference. And remember that big bully from earlier?
Who told you about my flight to Ophiuchus? Who's your man on Earth? Tell me, who's your spy on our planet? Griff in the Space Ranger Service. Did you say Griff? I'm shocked.
Yeah, not so tough when you're not pushing around a kid or an old man, huh? Well, Rocky gets to the car.
What?
Futuristic car, I'm sure. Anyways, they get back to the ship and take off. But they're not out of the woods yet. Cleolanta manages to hit the ship with a magnetic ray that scrambles their instruments. And there just happen to be a lot of moons around this planet.
Wait a
Another close call. Well, they're now out of the range of Ophicia. Rocky, he's smart. Knowing how well placed Griff is, he sends back a fake message saying they failed in their mission. They're going to give Griff enough rope to hang himself. Unfortunately, Cleolanta sent another ship out, and once they're in range, they contact Griff and tell him what's really going on. And that he's going to have to take care of Rocky when he gets there. But unfortunately for Griff, this was overheard by Chairman Drake. Oh, bad luck. Drake's not as good a fighter. Well, after this, Griff calls a Confederate, and they plant bombs around the whole landing area. Enough to blow up the entire base. And then when Rocky lands...
So you left crew and passengers aboard, eh? Well, that's all right with me. Now, Rocky, switch on blast-off synchronizer.
Rocky.
Go ahead.
Ah, so that's his plan. He's going to return to Ophiuchus with the chair with Drake, along with the Professor and Bobby and Vina Ray. So, while they plan to get aboard, and his Confederate takes over the piloting chair, Rocky has a trick or two up his sleeve.
Griff, don't turn around. Don't make one false move. Toss your weapon over the side.
Well, he sends the ship to go off without him, trusting that Winky will know how to handle that situation. And this doesn't sit too well with Griff, as you can imagine.
What am I doing, Griff?
I've got the whole headquarters planted. Any minute now, any second, we're going up in smoke.
Then you better go pull some switches if you want to live.
Well, they're taking care of the bombs. Winky's got a person to take care of himself.
Hi, keeper. Jim Carter.
I think he's got a pretty good right hook there. Anyways, the bombs do get deactivated, but Griff does get away and leads Rocky on a chase around the power launching area until he manages to get to a car. But Rocky's not that concerned.
I'm shocked.
Damn, Rocky, that is cold. Well, we end with congratulations all around, and Vina now a permanent part of the crew. as these things go, it's a fun little movie. Yeah, the TV origins are really apparent in the pacing, but there's enough special effects in there that it does have a bit of a gee whiz kind of feel to it. And the power plant, although even kids back then would have recognized the power plant, does add some value, to the budget and everything, because it makes it look more expensive than it was, being a lowly TV show. And the acting's pretty decent. Richard Crane is his usual stalwart self, as he is in a lot of his shows. Scotty Beckett as Winky. He's kind of amusing, but not a total incompetent sidekick. He's just more there for some witty one-sides and to be the Lothario of the group.
Sex.
Although it becomes apparent throughout the rest of the series that Vina only has eyes for the rather stolid Rocky Jones. As does apparently Cleolata, who became a recurring villain throughout the run of the show. And of course this hits on a lot of Cold War fears, especially of them darn Reds, as it is obvious that Cleolata and Ophitia itself is a rather socialistic utopia in which, as was demonstrated in the one shot, children are raised without parents and everybody serves the greater good of the planet, apparently. Unlike us capitalists who know how to really run an organization. 1950s style, anyways. Yeah, there's some good action. Some actually pretty decent humor, although it is very of its time, so it hasn't aged that well. But yeah, the series of films, along with this one, they were okay. A good time filler. Something you might see on a Saturday afternoon, in between reruns of the Three Stooges, or late at night after the news. Yeah. All in all, a fun little movie. It's nothing great, but pretty standard 50s space opera, and probably a little more entertaining than like a bigger budgeted similar style film like Queen of Outer Space, if you've ever seen that one. At least this one had some characterization and some decent acting in it, and not bad special effects, even if they didn't have the budget of MGM. Well, that's about all for this one, really. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you all next time. And stay after credits for my favorite scene.
Knit me a sweater.
Sorry, sir. I don't know how to knit. But if I did, I'd make you a muffler and maybe tie it real tight around your neck. Sir,